What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel. Sports Channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. What's up, guys? My name is Steven Hyder. Once again, Gate City Sports Channel. If this is your first time visiting the channel, if y'all can do me a huge favor, hit that like button, guys. You guys don't know how much support that gives this type of channels. And you know what? Having growth, sending YouTube, letting YouTube know that we're out here and that people are liking the content, guys, it does a whole lot. It helps me keep the lights on in this place and keep giving you material. Not really, because I don't really get any kind of pay from this, but still, you get the point. All right, guys. So if you are new to my channel and you're kind of wondering what kind of content I cover, guys, I like to go through a lot of film breakdown. So if you're really into having someone express an opinion that to an extent is, it's backed by some kind of data. I'm using some kind of data point to express the opinion I have about the Philadelphia Eagles. You're probably going to really enjoy this content, guys. All right, today's topic, what I want to talk about today. Today, what I really want to talk about, guys, is number one, what are we going to do? What are we going to do at wide receiver? What are we going to do the rest of this year? Because, guys, we're down Alshon Jeffrey, Nelson Aguilar, Deshaun Jackson. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside left that football game with a hamstring injury, so hopefully he'll be ready to go by next Sunday. Jordan Howard's still down. He still hasn't been cleared for contact. We've lost some weapons if you are just now figuring that out. We've had a rough run of it this season. So I kind of do want to dive into that a little bit today to talk about where do we go? Where do we find the players? Can we win with these guys? Is this asking way too much of Carson Wentz with this little amount of talent? Or are these guys going to be able to do it because they care? They know that this is their shot. Even if they're not going to stick with the Eagles, they know they have to make plays. They know they have to let a guy like Carson Wentz maybe help them get themselves on another football roster by showing that they have NFL skill set to be on an NFL roster. Also, really what I want to start off with today, guys, is talking about what happened between the first half and the second half of that Giants game. I've had a chance to go through the All-22 film, and I got to be honest with you, things looked different through the All-22 review of it. There's definitely a big difference between the first half and the second half, but most of that has to come with timing and tempo. And just to be honest with you, players making plays. There wasn't a huge difference. We moved the ball in the first half, believe it or not. The offense wasn't as vanilla as people are out there saying. They haven't watched the film. I'm telling you, I've broken down each and every play, guys, in my trusty notebook that you all know about. So let me just give you a recap of the first drive of the game. First drive of the game was 7 plays if you count the kick, if not 6 offensive plays. Okay? The punt by a kick is what I mean. We were in 21-man personnel, 12-man personnel, and 11-man personnel all within the first series of the game. So we were already in 3 offensive formations. We lined up in a 21-man personnel 2 times, which I've been screaming for 2 back sets forever just because I think it's a strength that this team has. 12-man personnel we jumped into 1 time. 11-man personnel we jumped into 3 times. Okay? We were in the shotgun 4 times with Wentz. 2 times we put Wentz under center. We passed the ball 3 times. We ran the ball 3 times. Those runs were not your traditional runs. Number 1, we had a jet motion on the very first play of the game with Boston Scott. They picked up 8 yards. We had a quarterback sneak with Carson Wentz that converted a third down play. And we also had a run up the gut basically with Miles Sanders. So there was balance. There was multiple formations. We were in and out of shotgun and under center. I mean, there was balance there. But we didn't put points up on the first drive. Even though we moved the ball, we moved it a little bit, we didn't put points up. So what happened? Guys, I'm a Carson Wentz fan. You know that I think that sometimes his fundamentals are a little flawed. He's got a lot of development and growth to go. But you guys know I think that he is a very good prospect. He's got a very bright future here in Philadelphia. You guys know that. You know that I'm on board with that. I'm here to tell you the reason the first drive stalled is because Carson Wentz made a very, very big mistake. Give me a second, guys. I don't just put claims out there like that without showing you something of why I'm believing this. And I'm going to show you it, okay? Just give me 1 second. I'm going to roll the film. I'm going to discuss what I'm seeing.
Round pick for the Eagles this year. 3rd and 13 after the penalty.
If you're watching that clip, guys, what you're going to see is right at the very beginning, Carson Wentz is going to walk up. He's going to look to the offensive right, the defensive left, and he's going to point out, he's going to say, Mike 47, Mike 47. What he's doing when he does that is he's pointing out his concern that Alex Ogletree is going to come in. So he wants to slide the protection of the offensive line right. Defensive left, offensive right. He wants to do a right slide protection there. Unfortunately, when he does that, now he's creating a situation to where if that player, which he does, backs off into a zone, that's a problem. Because now what you have is Jason Peters isn't going to be able to pick up that down pass rusher. So that means that Miles Sanders will have to come all the way across the formation, identify that's happening, and pick that up. That's not a good decision on Carson Wentz's part. That was a really, really bad play. And I think what that is he's had a lot of pressure coming off the edges of recently, and I think that was him. And later on, he catches a corner trying to do this, Janoris Jenkins, and he lights him up with a wide receiver screen. However, in that situation, trying to slide your protection that way, not a good idea. We get caught, and I'll show you what ends up happening. We start the second possession of the football game, second series of the football game, with a very unique situation here. We have Carson Wentz, who's supposed to be under center. You got Miles Sanders about 6-7 yards deep in the backfield. Looks like it's going to be a running play, right? But then Carson, and I didn't understand what he was doing here, but it did show me something I didn't know that Carson Wentz was given the authority to do. I thought Carson Wentz was allowed to audible and call his own play when they were in up tempo. I didn't know that he was allowed to do that underneath the huddle, which clearly is because he audibles into his own play. Basically, what he does is he looks across and he sees essentially the New York Giants in a man under cover 2 concept, which makes no sense to me to why you would audible in that, but he does. He audibles from a cover 2, man under cover 2. He audibled in to get a passing play, and he took a deep shot, which to me was the wrong thing to do because you have deep safety help. That doesn't make sense. Like, you run on a cover 2. That's what you do. So interesting that he was given the authority to do that. I thought that was an example of maybe Carson trying to do too much, maybe trying to be that superhero, where later on in the game, he kind of let things come to him a little more when he was making those type of decisions. So to me, that could be a big reason to why the first half, maybe things didn't feel as well. We didn't really have an identity. When the second half, we clearly had an identity. It was clearly based around Carson Wentz, getting him outside in space, going up tempo. Like, it was different. You can see the differences there. And I'll show you that play now. We can see there that Carson Wentz recognizes something he doesn't like. Now, if you watch in a second, you're going to see he's already communicating, but you're about to see the full audible. And you're going to see him shift out of that under center back into the shotgun, and he's going to pull Miles Sanders offset beside him. So he's completely changing the play.
This is some of the control.
I personally don't understand the audible here. I mean, it's good to see Carson has this kind of control. I question the decision making. I think you were in the correct play. You want to run on a cover 2 on first down like that. You don't want to try to take a deep shot when you got 2 deep safeties that are giving coverage help, especially when you have less than 3 seconds to even get the ball off. That's basically that safety. He doesn't have enough time for someone to cross in the safety's face to try to get them out of position. Nothing to develop that would affect the safety play. So clearly they're going to spot what you're doing and provide the overtop coverage. And then the ball that gets thrown out there isn't a catchable ball anyway. It's just thrown out of bounds. So to me, could have stuck to it. Good to see that he has that kind of control. And it comes later in the game. It's huge that it gives Carson Wentz this kind of control because I think he snatches, he snatches a game away from the jaws of defeat by doing this. But, hey, I'm not going to lie to you here. This was a mistake. This is probably why we felt a little, out of rhythm in the first half. This is part of that, what's going on.
Wentz with time, going to take a shot downfield. And
on the third offensive possession of the football game for the Eagles, there was a pretty pivotal 3rd and 5, to which Carson Wentz, to me, it looks like his mechanics are off again. Look, quarterbacks tend to be a little off early in games anyways. Emotions start going through the players. That's probably also where they might start feeling some of the pressure early and late in games where they're feeling the pressure on them to start performing well. He was just off. To me, it looks like he put way too much weight on your front foot, and then he threw the ball in the dirt. I've heard some people's take on it. And I don't accept their take on it because it sounds like people to me that are just trying to make excuses. I'm a Carson Wentz guy, and I'm trying to tell you, he missed a throw. Like, you're not supposed to place the ball there. As a matter of fact, if he just leads Carson Wentz to the outside, there's a lot of open space to run there if he breaks that tackle. You don't want to lead him inside, and you don't want to throw the ball into the ground at his feet. That wasn't the only placement for the football. To me, it's a breakdown of his mechanics. He's very flat-footed. He looks kind of perpendicular to where he's throwing to me, but it's hard to tell because of the offensive line. I see the toe tap, and I see a lot of weight, it looks like, on that front foot. Generally speaking, you throw a ball into the ground, it's because you're on your front foot too much. That's that weight transfer, guys. That's where you're going from, essentially, you're going from your ball carriage to your ball shelf. When you go to your ball shelf, that's when that toe tap happens. So you're shifting your weight from your front to your back foot, and then you should see the bottom of the cleats coming up and the arm coming forward, all that good stuff. If that weight transfers off and you're on your front foot too much, then you're going to throw it, into the dirt. The inverse of that is when you got too much weight on your back foot, that's when the quarterback's backs, they almost look like a question mark, like kind of look at question mark when they're throwing. If you look at it like they dip, like they dip back, and then they have a tendency to sail the football. It looks like their spinal cord almost looks like a question mark when they do that. But I'll show you that play and slow it down for you so you can see it.
Pace for Philadelphia tonight with Hurts and Goddard. 3rd and 5.
Okay, guys, give me 1 second. I'm going to slow it down drastically by the frame rate. I want you to just watch his feet placement. Watch his feet placement. I'll give you an all 22 view of this. So you're seeing that front camera angle. Watch his feet on the throw. You'll see what I'm saying about it's a weird, it's between that toe tap, that shifting from the ball carriage to the ball shelf. The transfer of weight, it's not right. Like, he's flat-footed. Looks like he's got way too much weight on that front foot. Like, it's not a good throw. Watch that back foot leave the ground, guys. That's a good indication you have way too much weight on the front foot. They're simple fundamental errors. And it wasn't just Carson Wentz, guys. Don't get the impression I'm saying that Carson Wentz was the reason the offense was stalling when we were moving the ball. No. The offensive line had a lot to do with it, guys, because I'm not even going to show you everything I saw on the offensive line, but it was getting its ass kicked at the line of scrimmage. The Giants' defensive line was beating our offensive line, certainly earlier in the game. There was a play where Miles Sanders absolutely got stuffed in the backfield because the offensive line gave him no hole to run through. Carson Wentz got stopped on a 4th and 1 quarterback sneak because the offensive line couldn't get pushed. Like, they allowed several sacks to come in on the first half because they just weren't, some of it was Carson's fault, like I showed you with the protection thing, but some of it was the offensive line just not being very good. So there's a lot going on here. Now, one of the last things I kind of want to show you about the first half, about Carson Wentz and why there's such a difference between the first and the second half. He didn't always do a great job of going through his progressions and identifying the players that were open. And this might have a lot to do with like getting into Carson's playbook, the things Carson's comfortable with, as opposed to Doug Peterson and the coaching staff. There could be a division there that's happening, that's dividing them. Because I'm going to show you the touchdown pass. Watch J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. He completed the pass and it was a touchdown, but he got called back because of a hold. But you know what? If he makes that read quicker, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside was open forever back there. I mean, he's throwing his hands up, trying to get his attention. Like, you got to come off your reads and see that, because that was an easy touchdown if you just came off your read. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside is trying to get Wentz's attention in the back of the end zone, throwing his hands up. That's pretty much how the first half went, guys. Missed opportunities. On the 4th possession of the game, you get Brandon Brooks with a penalty on that, where he's holding, even though the pass was caught in the end zone because it was a holding call. And it was a little suspect on that holding call, to be honest. But nonetheless, it's called back. That's the series that Alshon Jeffrey left the football game, the 4th series of the game. The next series of the game, Lane Johnson leaves the football game. So, I mean, things just kind of compounded until early in the 3rd quarter. We were probably at our lowest early in the 3rd quarter. Then by the late 3rd quarter, going into the 4th quarter, we saw Wentz take this football game over. And that's the question I have, which is, now that we kind of have an idea of what happened in the 1st quarter compared to the 2nd quarter, what can we do about this long term? Can Wentz win with the talent around him? And let's just go through this list again, guys. Alshon Jeffrey is out. Nelson Aguilar is probably out. Deshaun Jackson is still out. Jordan Howard probably will not play. Still hasn't been cleared for the stinger. So, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside has a hamstring injury. Nelson Aguilar's quote on his injury about whether or not he'd be ready to play this week. This is what he said. He's injured his knee since Minnesota. He re-aggravated on the touchdown pass he dropped in New England. Come on. And his exact quote about it is that his range of motion is affected. And then he said, kind of a stalemate point. I don't know, guys. It doesn't look like he's going to play to me. I mean, I don't know, but it's not exactly a vote of confidence there. So if Alshon's out, Nelson's out, Deshaun's out, Jordan Howard's out, I would assume JJ is going to give it a go, but who knows how long he's going to last if it's a true hamstring injury. Those things have a tendency to agitate. That leaves us with Greg Ward Jr. We might literally be in a situation with Greg Ward Jr., Josh Perkins can play tight end and wide receiver, and probably will be asked to do it again. To be there with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, we're still going to need at least one practice squad player, not two called up. And the options are you get a guy like Robert Davis, Marcus Green, or Marquin McKell. This is what I'll say. A lot of fans have been calling for Marquin McKell. I like Marquin McKell. But we got to keep this realistic to what the coaching staff thinks. They had an opportunity to sign this kid to the practice squad. They didn't do it. Later on, they go and they pick up Marcus Green, not Marquin McKell. Later on, they go pick up Robert Davis, not Marquin McKell. Marquin McKell doesn't come around until December, guys. I mean, I'm not too sure how the coaching staff feels about him. If I'm being honest, I'm just reading the temperature in the room. That would lead me to suspect he's probably likely not going to be the guy that gets called up. Robert Davis is probably the most talented guy we have down on the practice squad. He's a big kid, 6'2.5", 6'3", 215-ish. He runs a 4.44 40. He's fast. What I will tell you, though, is that all the scouting stuff that I read about Robert Davis, now I haven't really watched a lot of his film, but everything I've seen from every scout that I read about him says that he has a really difficult problem with flipping his hips. Basically what that means, guys, is that he has a lot of top-end quality speed, but he's not a very good agile runner. He doesn't have the agility. Because when you're flipping your hips, that's how you get in and out of your breaks. It has a lot to do with your route running. Also says he's not a very good route runner. He's got some learning to go there. Now, he could have learned over the past couple of years how to run routes better. He could have become a much better use of not having his hips so tight and getting in and out of his breaks better. We'll have to see. But that was the knock on him, guys, his route running and all that. Now, he is very good at his catch radius. This kid's got a big catch radius. He'll go up. He's fast. I think he's definitely got the most potential. Outside of him, you get a kid like Marcus Green, Marcus Green's a good kid. He's fast. He's like a 4.3, 940 when he runs in. The problem with Marcus Green is that he has difficulty tracking the ball just like Nelson Aguilar. He has a lot of top end speed. He does not shift his hips very well. He's got a problem with sinking his hips, and he's got a tendency to also overrun the route at the top of the route tree. So Marcus Green has a lot of speed. This guy, I wouldn't count on him not being called up, guys, just because he can't play special teams as well. I know he's done kickoff returns. I think he can do punt returns as well. So that's going to definitely help us free up a guy like Greg Ward Jr. So I could see a guy like that being called up. Next guy is Marquin McKell, guys. Marquin McKell is a guy that definitely is better at that in and out of the routes. He's more agile than he is fast. I think he ran like a really bad 40, guys. I think he was above a 4.5 40. I think he was way above 4.5. I have read one report that said he ran a 4.62, but I don't think that's correct. I just think that's somebody that's exaggerating a little bit. But he's not elite speed, but he's elite speed in terms of the way he comes in and out of his breaks. To me, the agile part is probably a little more important than that top end speed part. So Marquin McKell is going to add speed in that way. Like he's not going to be as slow as Goddard and Ertz and them coming in and out of his breaks. Like he's going to be a lot faster at that, which means he's going to gain separation and win something to throw to. So if I had to bet, guys, I'd say Robert Davis. I don't know, though. I'm not going to say Marquin McKell won't call up. I'm not going to say that Marcus Green won't be called up. Marcus Green can play special teams, an important role in special teams, something the other two guys probably can't do. Robert Davis is more of a playmaker. Robert Davis you probably trust more if J.J. Arcega-Whiteside can't finish the game. This is a peculiar situation, guys, because we're going to have to really rely heavily on Josh Perkins. I'd expect the Eagles to run the ball a lot more in this game. I expect them to use a lot of two-back sets, a lot of 12-man. That would be my prediction, guys. All right, y'all. I'm about to jump out of here, man. It's late. You tell me what you think, guys. Leave me a comment. Who do you think is going to come up from the practice squad? What did you think about the difference between the first half and the second half? If you guys missed all my breakdown of the second half, go look at the video I posted yesterday. I did some breakdown of what I saw from the second half. Compare that to what I just gave you from the first half. It's like two different teams were on the football field, guys. Tell me your thoughts, man. What do you think about that first half, the second half? What do y'all think about this receiving core? Who's coming up from the practice squad? Are the Eagles, as I know some of y'all were talking about Dez Bryant, I could not find any reports of that. It doesn't seem true to me, guys. The only reports that I read were from last week when they worked out Mark and McKell and Darvish Jennings, formerly of the Tennessee Titans. I saw nothing about Dez Bryant, guys. I don't think that was an actual thing. Could be. If you got the source for that, man, just link the source below. I'll read it and everything. It's helpful. Leave it below, guys, if you know it. Outside of that, guys, that's all I got, man. Y'all know what time it is. It's time we go. EAGLES. Guys, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, y'all. All right, y'all. Peace. I'm out of here.